And I say, you do not approach women in a parking lot. I just kept saying, do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot, like yelling it.
This might be the most unhinged video I've ever seen. I don't know what's been going on recently, but it seems like people are losing their sanity with every passing day. Or honestly, that might just apply to the people / addicts of TikTok, because it seems to be only them that I keep making videos on. This person being one of them who immediately turned their camera on after going through a crazy experience to give a storytime video, of course. But yeah, get ready to listen to the traumatizing and harrowing experience this woman went through when she was in a parking lot alone. Now, without further ado, let's check this out.
I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot and it went fine. And I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read and this is how you're supposed to address it, but it scared me. I'm literally shaking.
Oh my god, what happened to this woman? Jeez, she looks pretty scared. She's shaking, she's nervous. What could have possibly went down in this parking lot that triggered a reaction like this? I can only imagine. All I know is that this had to have been somewhat dangerous, right? Maybe she almost got robbed, attacked, assaulted, maybe someone threw a bag of dog shit at her. I don't know. I mean, she is shaking, but let's continue watching and find out.
It was in a book I read and this is how you're supposed to address it, but it scared me. I'm literally shaking. So this guy, I'm alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and a male approached me in a parking lot. He's, "Excuse me, miss," and I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And before he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I turned around and I literally yelled at him and I said, "Do not approach me." And he immediately started going in the other direction. And I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, "Do not approach me. Do not approach me."
So let me get this straight. A guy who was an entire 30 feet away from this woman in a parking lot said, "Excuse me, ma'am." That's what you're shaking and making a video about?
30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am."
Like, am I missing something here? Why would you start yelling at someone over that? Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but the first reaction I have when someone says, "Excuse me," is to immediately start screaming,
"Do not approach me."
like a lunatic. Yeah, there is something wrong with this woman. I mean, she starts off this video literally shaking, as if she's about to describe how she just survived a terrifying encounter with some psycho, but it turns out all this person did was say, "Excuse me." What the actual fuck?
And he immediately started going in the other direction. And I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, "Do not approach me. Do not approach me." And he, of course, got what the F, he started cussing and yelling, what's your problem? And I looked at him and he actually then crossed a couple cars down from my car. He didn't come anywhere near me. He crossed a couple cars down from my car and was like, continuing to cuss and say, "What's your problem?" And I say, "You do not approach women in a parking lot." I just kept saying, "Do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot."
Yeah, if you're ever having a heart attack or about to stroke out in a parking lot, don't you even dare try and talk to this woman. In fact, never talk to any woman in a parking lot under any circumstances. Even if she dropped a bag of groceries, an item, or her wallet, the parking lot is off limits to try and communicate with someone, even for a valid reason. "Excuse me, you just forgot your child in the store."
Do not approach me.
And from everything she's saying, there's not even one indication that this guy was a creep or dangerous in the first place. I mean, all he said was "excuse me" from 30 feet away, and was even walking away from her after.
He didn't come anywhere near me. He crossed a couple cars down from my car.
And then there's the fact that you're still in the same parking lot recording a video from TikTok. There was no danger here. What a lunatic.
Say, "You do not approach women in a parking lot." I just kept saying, "Do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot," yelling it. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. Ever. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. And if a male does approach you, you need to turn around and use the strongest voice that you can possibly use with them. Don't be polite. They need to literally screw off. No male should be approaching you in a parking lot.
Or you could just act like a sane individual and use your best judgment instead of immediately yelling at a stranger in public like a lunatic. It's very possible that guy just walked away with a free $20 bill. Not only that, but he's also most likely weirded the fuck out. If anything, he probably thinks he just dodged an absolute psychopath. Also, let's be real, if someone is genuinely a dangerous predator, I don't think using your strongest voice is gonna do shit.
Use the strongest voice that you can possibly use.
And on a side note, it's pretty dangerous of her to still be in the parking lot recording a TikTok in this vulnerable position. Watch out, he could still be around here.
Have any other form of protection. I didn't want him getting anywhere near enough to me to like knock me out and rob me. I'm not saying that definitely would have happened, but I didn't want to open up myself to that possibility. When I first saw this guy, I had just put my son in his car seat and I stood up to see this guy across the aisle, the other cars. I'm not sure if that's exactly 30 feet, but that's where he was. I definitely hadn't dropped anything. This guy wasn't trying to help me. He was coming at me from the opposite direction of where I came out of the store. In general, I am not a super paranoid person. I don't scare easily. Do not approach me. It's actually, my husband has actually had to tell me, you need to take a little bit more precautions because there are bad people in this world. So for me to be in a situation like this that legitimately scared me, it wasn't a good situation. I did what I needed to do to protect myself and my son. Approached me today in a parking lot while I was alone with my son, bent over trying to put him in his car seat. And I'm getting a lot of comments like this one, that how I responded to protect me and my son in that situation was over the top. Other people are saying he could have just been trying to help, or that someone that says, "Excuse me, ma'am," isn't a criminal. So let me ask you this. What does a criminal look like? At what point do you choose to defend yourself? Are you going to wait until somebody with an orange jumpsuit approaches you? Or maybe someone with a t-shirt that says, "I'm a rapist," or a human trafficker, or "I'm about to rob you"? Whatever your threshold might be, I would suggest that you don't wait until the person is right on top of you to do something about it. And as a woman, never underestimate your instincts.
The guy literally just said, "Excuse me." This is over the top. Not to mention an entire 30 feet away and not once made an attempt to approach this weirdo. Now with that said, you should obviously never always blindly trust strangers, and it's always good to use your best judgment. I'm not saying you have to be polite to every single person you meet or approaches you, but the advice that automatically starts screaming at a stranger for only saying "excuse me" is downright insane.
Do not approach me.
Not only insane, but also potentially dangerous too. Why risk getting a stranger mad and yelling at them? Hell, maybe they could be a psycho. Yelling at strangers who say 2 words to you is just straight up unhinged behavior. Almost as unhinged as this entire video where she acts like some sort of hero who just survived this horrifying traumatic experience and fended off a fucking serial killer. She was shaking, guys. Don't forget that.
I'm literally shaking right now.
You ever been so scared about something that just happened to you that your first reaction was to immediately whip your phone out and record a TikTok? Yeah, me neither. Like, I imagine if you were genuinely scared, you wouldn't be in this vulnerable position in the parking lot, opening yourself up to a sneak attack.
30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am."
But yeah, this is another level of victim mentality I've never seen before. Maybe soon she'll come out with another storytime video about the time somebody glanced at her for a second. Actually, never mind, it's already been done. But anyways, I think that's going to wrap up today's video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some more juicy videos coming soon to the channel, and peace.
Do not approach me.